I'm Justin Schaeffer. I'm a technician here at the U of S. I've been growing hydroponic lettuce as a hobby at home. What I use is a system called the Kratky hydroponic system. It's a really waterized solution where the plants can grow with 1 liter of water for a single head of lettuce. So a single seed, a single head of lettuce, and 1 gram of fertilizer solution is all you need to get a full head of lettuce. This guy is about 5 weeks old. Probably still has another 2 weeks to go before I fully harvest him. This one here, he's only been in the hydroponic solution for about 4 weeks, and I have some little baby transplants I started. So basically, what I do is I like to use these Jiffy pellets, and I start my lettuce seedlings in these Jiffies. These little pellets, you soak them in water for about half an hour, and they swell up, and they turn into that. Simply put a seed onto the Jiffy, cover it in a clear plastic dome, and just let it sit, and the seed will germinate. Once the seed germinates, I leave these in for about 3 weeks, and then the plants, they end up getting a fair bit bigger. I don't have one at that stage at the moment, and then I simply just put them into a system like so. I have the water filled up, and the Jiffy just sits just barely touching the water level. The roots from the Jiffy will grow into the nutrient solution, and the plant will eventually just end up looking like this. You can start this up really and walk away for 3 to 4 weeks. The nutrient solution will be sufficient to keep your plant alive. It's probably the easiest way to do hydroponics that I could possibly think of. I've tried other ways as well, but this seems to work the best. This would be a really efficient system if you had to transport your plant material and your supplies in, say on a plane. This would be really good for northern gardeners because 1 liter of water, 1 gram of fertilizer, and some of these really light, small Jiffy pellets ends up turning into a huge head of lettuce. This little plant here I had under a grow light, and it's a very dense, compact plant. These plants here are just growing not quite in my window, but nearby. They're extremely stretched out, but they're still fully edible. They may not look as pretty, but they're still going to give you lots of nutrition, and they'll turn into a full head of lettuce. They'll just stretch. I have a south window, and these are actually set back a little ways from my south window. This is just, all this stuff here is just what I was growing at home as just what I grabbed this morning from my little hobby. I've grown lettuce under fluorescence in a growth chamber before with simply a cool white and a warm white T12 bulb. So a normal shop light, 4-foot shop light, just a warm light and a cool white, and you can bring a lettuce head to fruition. And you can fit a whole bunch of plants under that, because we usually set our shop light about a foot above our plants, and that gives you about a 1.5 by 4 feet radius or area for you to work with, so you can fit a lot of plants. Every plant probably needs 4 to 6 inches, so you can fit a lot of plants in. The fertilizer I use is 20-20-20. It's a commercial greenhouse fertilizer. The bag itself was $50, and it gives you 1,500 grams of fertilizer. I only use 1 gram of fertilizer per head of lettuce, so that means that out of that $50 bag of fertilizer, I can actually get 15,000 plants of lettuce. So it's actually quite cost effective. The Kratky style, there's not a lot of air that can actually escape the base where you have your nutrient solution, so there's not a lot of evaporation. Also, if you're growing these plants in pots and you're watering, you'd actually have a lot of water leaching through the bottom of your pot, and you'd be losing it that way. The system is really efficient for water usage. The only way you can lose water through this system is really through the leaves, through transpiration of your plants. The pots here, I have clear pots because I typically grow in a little tray, and it's actually got walls that are built up. Typically, I would black these out. These pots are typically recycled. We use these to hold fruit samples at the U of S, and then I repurpose them. We also use quite often milk jugs, recycled milk jugs to grow these. The Jiffy pellet actually just squeezes in and shoves right in the top of a milk jug. and a 1 liter milk jug. You fill it up, stick your Jiffy pellet in, and you can walk away from your head of lettuce for 4 weeks. The biggest thing is making sure that this little seedling has actually grown into the nutrient solution. After that, it's pretty bulletproof. I've only grown lettuce in this situation, but I've watched a lot of videos. People are growing pak choy, spinach, mostly leafy greens. This little system I have here is really good for growing leafy vegetables, but you wouldn't want to grow a fruiting crop in something like this. You'd need a much larger system, or much larger container, and a lot more support and more light. Right from seed to fruition, depending on your light levels, can take from 6 to 8 weeks. If you start all your plants at one time, you're going to have mature plants all at one time. If you want to keep yourself in a constant supply, you'll keep plants at different stages. I've been doing every 2 weeks. It depends on how much you're going to eat. This little guy here, he's only about 2 weeks old. This one is closer to 4, and then you have different levels. So you kind of want to just stagger your planting. It's a constant cycle, and then after this plant will mature in a couple weeks, I'll just cut it off and start a whole nother one. And this little guy will move into my grow area. The solution, actually, I put 1 gram per liter in my containers. I'm using half-liter containers just because the shelf I have, everything sitting in is short. But if you're using a 1 liter container, you would, when you transferred your plant in, you would add 1 gram per 1 liter container, and you would walk away until you harvested that plant. Once that solution is done, you can remove the plant. If you're growing something that takes a little while longer and you have run a solution, you can top it up. But you want to keep the water level below the bottom of the Jiffy so that there's still some roots that can actually respire. One of the most important things in hydroponics is that roots need air. Most hydroponic systems rely on a bubbler within the nutrient solution. This system relies on an extremely humid layer that's in between the root zone and the water, so that you can have the roots above the water are actually breathing, and the roots below the water are actually what's absorbing the nutrient. The plant has actually grown into the nutrient solution here. The roots have gone down into this solution. The roots below, at the bottom of below the water line, they're actually just absorbing nutrients and water. And the roots above the water line are actually doing the respiration for the roots below. The most important part about hydroponics is roots need air. The cost on this head of lettuce, I like to use recycled containers. Even if you had to purchase the containers, it's not a big cost. The biggest expense is actually the Jiffy pellet. The Jiffy pellet runs us about 10 cents. The fertilizer costs 0.03 cents per head, and the seed is almost negligible in cost, just less like the fertilizer. So you're looking at pretty much a dime to produce the head of lettuce, plus if you have any electrical costs for lighting. I like to do an open head lettuce. They tend to grow a little nicer. The closed head lettuces, they can sometimes have something called tip burn, and it's just that the plant isn't respiring enough to draw enough nutrient into the leaves. With a head like this, if you wanted, you could actually just pinch off leaves around the base and let these new ones grow continually, or you can just harvest a whole head, cut it off, and then just wait for one of these little heads to take its place.